New York City. Over 8 million people call it home. For millions more, it's a mecca for work and play. A vertical universe, its hundreds of skyscrapers tower over vast tunnels below. How does this extraordinary city thrive? Through New York's 5 boroughs runs one of the largest transportation systems in the world.
My name is Anthony Downs. I'm a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution in Washington. For the last 40 years or so, I've been studying urban affairs, things like housing, traffic congestion. New York consists of several islands that are close together, and it's hard to get onto the island of Manhattan. You have to cross rivers to get to it from most directions, and yet it has a tremendous number of buildings, high buildings, and lots of jobs, lots of people. New York is by far the densest city in the country. In Manhattan, there are 55,000 persons per square mile, and the whole city is a density of over 20,000 per square mile. Among people who live in New York City, 52% commute every day by public transit, which is by far the highest percentage of commuting in the United States of any community. In fact, almost 1/3 of all the public transit trips in the United States every day occur in New York City. On the average, the number of commuters in the country is only 4.7%. So you can see how important public transit is to New York. It's critical to the operation of the system.
First settled in 1624, New York soon became America's largest and most prominent city. But where landlocked urban centers could expand outward, Manhattan's island geography forced it to grow vertically, housing more and more people in limited space. By the time of the great immigration waves of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the city desperately needed relief from surface congestion. New electric rail technology allowed New York to build an elaborate public transit system, much of it below ground. It instantly became New York's salvation. Today, despite the advent of the automobile, it is an institution the city still depends on.
Well, the subway system and the bus systems were started almost 100 years ago, before the automobile became a major form of transportation. That's why there's so many people living close together. It was very difficult to move any long distance, and that's how the city got built up at this very high density before the automobile came into being. And the automobile still is relatively insignificant in New York compared to the role it plays in most American cities.
Every single day, more than 7 million rides are taken on the transportation system within New York City. They're talking about subways and buses, the Metro-North Railroad, the Long Island Railroad, and various other transportation means. I mean, that's larger than most cities in the world, and those are people that are taking mass transportation. They're not walking, they're not driving, they're not hitching a ride, and they're not carpooling. They're using these systems.
The public transit system here is an interconnected labyrinth of subways, buses, and ferries almost 2,300 miles long. It covers every neighborhood and is a great social equalizer. The historic hub of New York's transportation system is the jewel in its crown. Completed in 1913, Grand Central took a full 10 years and $80 million to build. Standing at the corner of 42nd and Park Avenue, its complex spans 49 acres underground. Its statistics are impressive. 700,000 passengers ride its 550 commuter trains and 5 subway lines daily to dozens of destinations near and far.
Right from the start, this is a terminal. It's not a station. Trains terminate here. But be it terminal or station, it is the world's largest. This terminal covers 49 acres. It's been known as a city within a city. We have our own hospitals, police departments in here. We have a multitude of restaurants. 10,000 meals a day are served in this terminal. And to know that you're a part of it, part of this great place that people want to visit. It's been determined that Grand Central Terminal is the most visited place in New York City next to Times Square. We serve areas not only Manhattan and the Bronx, but Westchester and Putnam and Dutchess County. And we also go out through New Haven, up to New Haven, also through Fairfield County as well. We capture up to 85% of the commuting public. They prefer to travel with us rather than carpool or drive or take a bus.
Number 7 of 45th Road, Courthouse Square, and then the G.
Excuse me again, I have to go where?
Number 7 to 45th Road, Courthouse Square, and the G.
Grand Central's form is as extraordinary as its function. Considered a Beaux-Arts masterpiece, the terminal evokes a bygone era when train travel was both elegant and essential. Built with opulence hard to fathom today, its main concourse has 150-foot ceilings with twinkling zodiac constellations, arched 75-foot windows, and marble staircases modeled after the Paris Opera House. For a city that relies so heavily on public transportation, Grand Central is a fitting centerpiece.
Well, in Grand Central Terminal itself, there's something that is a virtual celebration of transportation. Here you have the ordinary commuter every day, getting off the train with a gait of an automaton, of a somnambulist, and yet they enter into a place that really make their eyes wide open every single morning. It's beautiful, it's glorious. Carved testimonials to the transportation. It's magnificently designed, it's efficient, it's beautiful. And you know, how can you not like it? It really makes commuting, transportation, something more special. It makes it actually kind of beautiful, kind of exciting. Every day through Grand Central Terminal pass 700,000 people. The entire population of North Dakota come through here, and at a rapid pace as well. But everybody knows where they're going. Everybody has a purpose. And none of them, surprisingly enough, bump into each other. That's how well designed this place is.
Before bridges and tunnels offered access to Manhattan, there were ferries. For over 100 years, ferries have navigated the surrounding rivers, and with views of Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty, they provide a vivid New York experience.
My name is Brian Walsh. I'm a mate on the ferry boat. I supervise the deckhands, responsible for the public safety on board. Statue of Liberty, New York Harbor, that's what some people from all around the world come here to see for vacation. And we're lucky enough to see that every day, you know, 8, 9, 10, 16 times a day, depending on how many trips you make. So it is relaxing. It's relaxing to work here, working on the water all day.
For many, the ferry is simply part of their daily commute. Each year, the Staten Island Ferry shuttles more than 20 million passengers on the 5-mile trip across New York Harbor. In 1898, when Staten Island officially became a borough of New York City, the ferry was immediately integrated into the growing transit system. It was a testament to New York's commitment that a transportation network should serve everyone, in every corner of the city.
Most of the people in Staten Island who work in the city or work in Brooklyn, they have to take the ferry across, either a train or a bus to the ferry, then the ferry over to Manhattan, and then the subway back into Brooklyn or deeper into Manhattan. On the ferry, which we see daily with people coming on board, we see all types of people, people in suits going to work, the construction men, the laborers, all people, all different walks of life take the ferry across. So it is a melting pot of transportation.
In order to reach every corner, an elaborate subway system was built. Without subways, New York would screech to a halt. Across Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, 28 subway lines cover an astonishing 685 miles.
New York City has by far the most complicated and extensive subway system of any city in North America, and therefore it's very different from any other city. We have a few subway systems in the United States, but they're nothing compared to the size and complexity of New York. And so that's one of the things that makes it very different from any other American city. The subway covers many different directions. It goes both north and south and east and west. It goes under the rivers, so you can go almost anywhere within the city on the subway. And it's especially useful for traveling between the downtown area where Wall Street is and the midtown or uptown areas. The subway is very fast, and it's much faster than walking and sometimes faster than the bus because you're not in street traffic.
A full 7 million people ride this underground network daily, including 4 out of 5 rush-hour commuters. That's a number greater than the city populations of Los Angeles and Chicago combined. With such a huge ridership, the subways become their own subterranean world.
People of all different kinds of income and income levels travel on the subway together. So it's a very universal method of travel and shows that people can get along together if they have to.
My name is Brian Hutchinson. We're riding the E train towards Queens. I'm a native New Yorker. I've lived in other parts of the world and in other parts of the country. I think that the important thing is that in New York, the accessibility of public transportation, the fact that you don't need an automobile is extremely important. It's a wonderful advantage that New York City offers. It's absolutely easier to get around on public transportation in New York than with an automobile. Manhattan traffic is horrendous, and if there are any special events, the president comes to town, UN dignitaries, ambassadors come to town, it further snarls traffic and makes driving in New York miserable.
Subways give New Yorkers an underground escape from the congestion above. Their 490 stations and 6,500 train cars create another layer of dense urban life.
Riding the train, you definitely come into contact with many, many people from many different areas. In general, people don't like to look you in the eye, and to make eye contact. I guess it's easier for people to just look away, you know. I think that there's a latent fear, you know, about riding public transportation. Certainly late at night and early in the morning. It certainly alters your sense of personal space. You know, I mean, being on a train with many people, being like sardines in a can, you can't have your traditional American sense of personal space. That's not a luxury that you have.
My name is Elena Mickelson, and we are at the 86th Street subway station. Whenever I'm in town, I usually tend to take the subway. It's much more effective. I think it can get exceedingly crowded. Some people, I've had friends come visit me that do not like to take the subway, even though I'll argue that we should take the subway. They seem to feel that it's not nice enough, that it's not clean enough. I think it's very effective, and for me, it suits my purposes, which is getting me to where I want to go in a very expedient fashion, and it helps me because I'm in school, believe it or not. I'm getting another master's degree, so I like it. It works for me. I've always said that one of the reasons that New York is so successful is because it's so competitive. And I think this competitiveness is sometimes enhanced by things like the subway. I mean, you compete in order to get into the subway. You compete getting in and out of trains. I mean, everything is a competition here.
Coursing through the streets of Manhattan is perhaps the most famous symbol of New York transportation, the yellow taxicab. On any given day here, there are more than 12,000 cabs for hire. It's an economy of supply and demand based on a single factor. For many residents, owning a car is not an option.
Many people live in Manhattan who do not have cars at all. They deliberately refrain from owning a car because it's so expensive to park it and so difficult. So they often use taxis. They have a driver who picks them up every day. A taxi driver normally takes them to work or comes back. So a lot of residents of Manhattan use taxis, much more so than in most other cities.
We deal about 1 million people a day, Monday through Friday, each day. And I think sometimes, it still feel like I say, it's not enough. Still people need a more cabs. My name is Imtiaz Hussain, nickname is Mike. And by profession, I'm a yellow cab driver, which you see right behind me. And I love New York City, that's why I'm doing this job. If there was no New York City, I wouldn't be driving a cab. I just love it. No matter how many hours I put in, I do it by my heart, I do it by passion. I enjoy public dealing. I like talk to the people. And that's the way it should be. Take the people from point A to point B. Make them happy, make their life easier.
With their fast door-to-door service, taxis are indispensable to hectic schedules and ambitious lifestyles. They are a carefully maintained New York institution.
The majority of the businessmen that depend on the yellow cabs in the city. That's why the New York City is right behind us, supporting us. So they want to make sure the people of New York City riding on the yellow cab is safe, is accurate, and it's not ruining anybody. That's what it's all about. TLC actually is a department where we work under them, with them. They are enforce the rules and regulations. We have a very tough rules and regulations. It's called TLC, Taxi and Limousine Commission. Every 4 months, we have to go through the inspection. They check for the safety. They check for your for your mechanical things, and that's what is. You go through the inspection, which is tough, and it should be tough. It shouldn't be easy because we carry peoples. We don't carry tomatoes or the watermelons, you know.
Mastering New York City taxis takes time. It is a skill New Yorkers flaunt with pride. Like much of the culture here, it's about survival of the fittest and the constant motion that keeps transportation humming.
Sometimes even the under the ground and above the ground transportation is not enough. Mostly we gotta, like I say, study customers that take cabs every day. They know how to stop, where to look for the empty cab. They're very smart in that, you know. But if you can see the person couldn't find a cab, maybe he's out of town. But New Yorker especially know how to get the cab and where to get the cab. People normally, the best place, go in the opposite direction to catch a cab. If you want to go north, go on the south side to catch a cab. That's the secret. Rainy, rush hour, any kind of a day, you can catch a cab when you go in the opposite direction.
For cab drivers, taxis represent opportunity. The city's endless need for transportation is a chance to partake in the American dream, another New York tradition.
No matter what is your dream, you want to be a Broadway actor, they come to New York, they're a Broadway actor. No matter what you want to do, as long you're willing to pay the price, go through the stuff, you can accomplish your dream. And I have seen the successful people, and I've seen them. And it makes me believe, yes, I can achieve my dreams too. Regardless of the time, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the stuff gonna go through. Definitely, if I stay persistent, consistent, I will accomplish my dreams.
Now in its second century, New York's unique transportation system reflects and supports this city's extraordinary density of commerce and population. With so many relying on it, and with its wealth of options, public transit here is more than a venerable institution. It's the central axis of city life.
The city wouldn't work without the massive public transportation system it has. Well, it's the only way to move as many people in such a small space in such a short period of time as is necessary to make New York work. The fact that 25 to 30% of all the public transit trips in the country occur in New York City every day is evidence of how important it is to New York City to have that public transit system. It has lots of busy people who are rushing from one place to another, so it's sort of the quintessence of urbanity.